You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Hello, beautiful people. Happy Friday, happy Venus Day, and welcome to a jam-packed weekend in the Milky Way. In today's episode, we're going to walk through the energy of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if you're joining me live, get comfortable. Let me know how the current energy is feeling for you today. We have a lot of duality in the forecast, so there's a lot of really positive things we're talking about and a few tricky aspects we'll be diving into. And if you're finding this video later, I will add markers to the timeline after we finish the live stream, so you can jump to whichever day, whichever transit you are most curious about. Hi, Bailey. Happy to see you here. I was debating whether to pull up the birthdays today, but then I realized, no, it wasn't Owen Wilson that sealed the deal, although Owen Wilson is a Scorpio. Who knew? Brene Brown's birthday is today, along with Megyn Kelly, David Ortiz. But where's Brene? There she is. Quite possibly my favorite Scorpio. I think that's fair to say. She's done a lot of really great things in the world, and I love that Brene Brown is a Scorpio because she is a researcher. She's all about deeply researching and understanding people, and through her magic, she's allowed so many of us to better understand ourselves and our dynamics with the people we love and the people we interact with. Let's just, for shits and gigs, look at the rest of the weekend. Meg Ryan is a Scorpio, Jodie Foster. They have a similar vibe. Okay, also Adam Driver, we can definitely see that. Allison Janney, Tyga, lots of November 19th Scorpios. Larry King, okay. And for the 20th, just for good measure, let's see. Who else? Oh, the president, Joe Biden. I forgot he's a Scorpio. He will be celebrating his birthday on Sunday, along with Future, Robert F. Kennedy, a Scorpio. Anyone else? Joel McHale. And of course, if you're watching this, if you are a Scorpio, if you know someone celebrating a birthday this weekend, let us know so we can celebrate them too. Can't forget her. And your mom just had a birthday on the 16th. Happy belated birthday to your mom. We're talking through the last days of Scorpio season as well. So I love that we got our final Scorpios of the season in before the sun officially moves into Sagittarius. It'll be overnight from Monday to Tuesday. So Monday will be the last official day of Scorpio season, but the last few days are packing a punch, let me just tell you. So, how's everyone feeling? Feeling calm today, Katie says, but my daughter is an emotional hurricane and it's taking a lot of energy to manage. We've got a Pluto transit we're talking about today, so I feel that. And I know some people around me have been kind of an emotional storm as well. Rachel's feeling more optimistic today, kind of relaxing and calm. That's that moon moving into your first house energy kicking in. And happy birthday to Rachel's friend who is celebrating tomorrow. Lots of Scorpios. I've been surprised, but not at the same time. Yeah, they like to hide in the shadows, right? They're a mystery. And then you realize they're a Scorpio and you're like, ah, okay, that's what's going on with them. Let's get a current check on the energy right now. The sun, of course, as we've been talking about, is in Scorpio. The moon is in Virgo. And someone on Instagram is saying, I've had a hell of a week. Whew. Sending you love, sending anyone love who's feeling that. I personally love the moon in Virgo, but that's because I am a Virgo and a Virgo rising. I will say the moon being in Virgo can make us all a little bit more critical and particular. So you might be feeling that, or just the general energy of Scorpio season, or maybe it's the transit that we're talking about today specifically that's feeling really intense. It's a mixed bag. Very looking forward to Sag season. You and me both, Katie. Bailey says it's been a rough morning, but getting a little bit of stuff done. Great. Clearing up, not starting anything new, decluttering. Yes, I am a Virgo. Yeah, so we'll talk more about what's going on with the moon, but this is really the time to let go, surrender, release, which can be a little difficult to do when the moon is in Virgo. We definitely want to be in control right now. Both of these signs like to be in control, like to have the power. Speaking of being in control, this is a Virgo moon thing right now. This little hair is driving me nuts. Feeling very particular, right? Okay, but let's talk about this Pluto transit without further ado. It is a positive transit, but it involves Pluto. And Pluto is shadowy, dark, death and rebirth, intensity, all bundled up into one planet. I consider Pluto a planet still, but scientists say otherwise. What does this mean for us, though? Well, the sun and Pluto are coming into a sextile pretty much as we speak. If you take a look at the chart, you can see that dark blue line between the 26-degree Scorpio sun and Pluto in Capricorn. Capricorn and Scorpio energy, they mesh well together, which is great and supportive. We like it. But this transit in particular is asking us to lean deeper into the transformation of Scorpio season. It's a sextile, so it asks us to put in a little bit of effort, invest a little bit into it to reap the benefits of the support between the sun and Pluto. Today might be bringing you deeper into the depths of Scorpio season, into the shadows of Scorpio season. It's the last few days with the sun in Scorpio. And remember, Pluto rules Scorpio. So it's really amplifying the Scorpio sun, in my opinion, because the sun's already in an intense sign. You add Pluto in, it just brings more intensity. However, the sun rules our consciousness and our energy, our experience. So we're gaining a deeper understanding and awareness of this transformation, this alchemy that we've been working through all of Scorpio season. This transit, because Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth, carries the energy of release, endings, closure, loosening our grip, letting go of control, although we really want to be in control, as we just talked about. So the key to leaning into this is surrendering, letting go, allowing that death and rebirth process to happen organically, although you might find yourself gripping along the way, like, oh, I just want to be in control of the ship. We know, though, transformation isn't something we can really control every step of the way most times. So it's really a day to lean into the surrender. Luckily, the moon is in a phase of surrender, so that's going to help us a little bit. Now, I will say it's interesting because this transit can also bring a deeper motivation or determination, increased power in a lot of ways. We just want to be mindful about how we're using that power. I think when we talk about power and control, sometimes we visualize more of manipulation, right? And that's easy to fall into today. But instead, what if you use that same energy, that same power to be in control of yourself, which is really the only thing you can control, right? I will say This transit's also going to amplify a lot of people's sexual energy. Pluto, Scorpio energy is very sexual energy, energetic exchanges, energetic contracts. So that's a byproduct of this too. But it's really just whatever your experience is today, I would take a look at what house is ruled by Scorpio, really revisit that as we wrap up Scorpio season. And where's Pluto in your chart? That's a good indicator of what's being transformed right now. And whatever your experience, especially if it's a difficult experience, Pluto likes to make things difficult, right? It's asking you to go deeper into that transformation process. I'm using this energy to restructure how my energy is divided between housework, connecting with my family, and re-energizing myself. I love that, Katie. And that's really going to play into what we're talking about on Saturday too, because Mars is squaring Neptune this weekend. That's adding a general energy of confusion. We'll get there in a moment, but this comment reminded me of that as well. I booked my daughter a counseling appointment, she says, to help navigate this storm. I love that you call it a storm too, because I think so often parents are like, what's wrong with my kid? It's like this personality flaw or something. But I love using the word storm, like an emotional storm, because it's just feelings that she's experiencing, right? And she probably doesn't fully understand where they're coming from or how to navigate them. And the beautiful thing about a storm is that it doesn't last forever. So I'm gonna bookmark that and keep that in my vocabulary to start looking at difficult experiences more like storms rather than just permanent chaos, right? Rachel says, I feel like Pluto transits are a hit or miss for me. I'm either feeling positive and loving the energy or just feeling like a train wreck. There's no in the middle. Death and rebirth, right? That's Pluto. So it might be the death, it might be the rebirth. Wherever you are, Pluto's going to meet you there and help you go deeper into it. So you're feeling more of that renewal, rebirth energy, it sounds like. And the moon is helping with that for you going into your first house. So there are some other positive transits probably helping you soften a little bit under this energy. Yes, I concur. Rachel says, I'm gonna correct this to we are so proud of you, Katie. Sending you love, and your daughter is so lucky to have you as a mom and the support you give her. Absolutely. I love more and more watching parents apply astrology to their children's charts and understanding their children better, because kids are the future, and I love not only using this to understand this tool to understand ourselves better, but also how to relate to people better, how to support people better. Yeah, Nikki says the last few years has been a storm with Saturn and Aquarius. Yeah, gosh. Lockdowns, still feel that we are at the end of this last Saturn transits. I'm in my Saturn return, so you are preaching to the choir, my friend. Really feeling that energy of Saturn today. Even though we don't have any Saturn transits to talk about, I'm like, ooh, okay, all right. I see you, Saturn. This is just an intense day. Hi, Mom. Okay, so that's the major energy we're feeling today. What's nice about this weekend is we have one major transit for Friday, one major transit for Saturday, one major transit for Sunday, and then we can just dive into what's going on with the moon for each of the days. So let's talk about the waning crescent moon in Virgo. We touched on this a little bit, but Virgo energy is very particular. It can be a little bit critical. The waning moon in Virgo wants us to clear things out, clean up shop, really come back to ourselves, our pure energy, and being of service to others is really nurturing under a Virgo moon. So remember, the waning crescent moon wants us to let go, surrender, declutter as we make way towards the new moon in Sagittarius next week. And the Virgo energy is really helping with this cleansing. Now remember, cleansing sounds really light and beautiful. Like, let's just sage everything. I already saged my house today. It's one of those days, right? But sometimes cleansing can bring up some of the shadow or dark or density that needs to be cleared. So that can be a byproduct of cleansing too. I just keep saying these things to give you permission if you're experiencing more difficult or challenging emotions today, because Pluto energy is not easy to deal with. Okay, overnight, 1 a.m., the moon and Uranus harmonized. So maybe you slept through this transit, but when the moon and Uranus come into a trine like this, unexpected changes, excitement, thrilling things can pop into our experience. You might have even had disruptive sleep or thrilling dreams or this sense of anticipation late last night or early this morning. This really helps open our mind with the moon in Virgo. We're pretty in our mental state and our heart as well. And it gives us the ability to innovate, to do things differently, to think differently. So that's what we started feeling overnight, if you felt that. Sometimes when we have transits in the middle of the night, they don't really affect us quite as much, right? Because we're sleeping. We're not consciously aware of what's going on. What we're feeling right now, though. What we're feeling right now, though. The moon is squaring Mars and opposing Neptune. And this is a preview and something that's really tapping us into the energy of this ongoing square that we're feeling all weekend. So I'm going to touch on it now. We'll dive deeper into it in a few minutes, but look at the chart. You can see that giant T-square playing out, the moon completing this T-square right now. Mars in Gemini, remember Mars is retrograde. Neptune also retrograde in Pisces, and of course the moon in Virgo. When the moon opposes Neptune by itself, it can cause confusion. It makes it really easy to check out, or we kind of have this desire to drift off into a fantasy a little bit and not really be in reality. But the square to Mars adds agitation, irritation, aggression. So you might be feeling irritable or anxious today. That is totally par for the course with this transit. And it might just feel like you don't really know how you're feeling. You know, 1 minute you're kind of irritated and you're not really sure why. The next minute you're kind of feeling motivated to just do something. It's a really confusing energy that we're feeling right now. In fact, one of my friends was posting on her Instagram stories, is anybody else feeling density but not sure why today? And a lot of people are feeling that. So Mars squaring Neptune overall can cause this, but especially with the moon coming into a square with Mars, completing this T-square, the most tense, uncomfortable transit we experience in astrology, we can be angry. We might even be hostile and not really know where it's coming from. It's easy to fall into criticism of other people because the moon is in Virgo, the most critical sign. We crave certainty with the moon in Virgo, but it's not easy to find that when the moon is opposing Neptune, which is all about uncertainty and blurring boundaries and, mysticism and fogginess. So when in doubt, or if you're feeling agitated, I would suggest just taking some space, giving yourself permission to kind of check out a little bit under this transit, because there's the potential for tempers to flare when the moon is squaring Mars and Mars is squaring Neptune, and hostility it's possible. I don't like to put that out there, but that's just kind of the experience, right? Thought you'd love to hear. My 5-year-old daughter's homework this week is to go outside and draw the phases of the moon over the next 2 weeks. I love that. That's such a fun assignment. And you have all this spiritual knowledge that you can kind of give a little tidbit to her about, okay, when the moon is in this phase, this is how we're feeling. This is what we're supposed to be doing. How fun is that? I was researching how to cleanse my crystals today, having the urge to organize them. That is the Virgo moon. And with the moon squaring Mars, it might make you feel like I just need to do something, but I don't know what to do. So doing something healthy, moving your body, cleaning out your space, doing something that feels like it's going to be motivating or productive can really help navigate this energy, because we have a lot of pent up energy. And if we don't have anywhere to direct it or anything to do with it, that's when the agitation, hostility can come out. The energy is going to come out either way. The moon is squaring Mars. Might as well do something productive with it. Hey, Corby. My daughter has her midheaven and north node in Virgo, Mars in Pisces. Love that. I love that she has her north node near her midheaven. Great placement for her. Yeah, great opportunity for her to learn about the moon. And they watched the recent rocket launch yesterday. Such a fun age, too. I remember learning about the planets. And you know what's funny? I'm so glad you brought this up. My planet for my planet report in the 3rd grade was Pluto. My planet was Pluto. And then I got really upset when they declassified Pluto as a planet. But I'm like, you know what? There are no coincidences. I think my Scorpio moon was really like, yeah, we're going to tackle Pluto, you know? Yeah. Okay. So that's what we're feeling right now. Noon is when that transit is exact. So if you're finding this live, you're joining me now, just let that tension go. Maybe do some jumping jacks, move your body around a little bit while you're watching. The next connection the moon makes, it's 2 connections again. It'll be at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So later tonight, the moon starts to get a little bit more active. The moon is going to connect with that sextile between the sun and Pluto. So you can see on the chart, let me pull it up on my end here. The moon will form a sextile to the sun at 26 degrees and complete that sextile to Pluto, making a much easier triangle to navigate. Much, much easier. This is helping us with the moon trine Pluto just understand the transformation that's unfolding more easily. By the end of the day today, you might feel some of that jittery agitation subside a little bit, and it could be clearer what's falling away, what's being transformed, what we're releasing right now under the waning moon and under this sextile between the sun and Pluto. And leaning into that release, allowing it to happen, is going to bring confidence. The moon is sextile the sun, which brings some confidence and helps our internal self work with our external self. So the transformation's unfolding, whether we like it or not. Let it happen. Maybe there's some irritation or agitation that shows you what you need to release today. That could definitely be a possibility. Sometimes we have to deal with uncomfortable emotions to understand what's in us, what's living in us, right? So it's all unfolding. It's all releasing in divine timing, even if it doesn't feel comfortable right now. And the last transit we'll talk about is the moon opposing Jupiter. This is right around midnight. So once the moon hits 28 degrees, you can see it will be opposing Jupiter. When the moon opposes Jupiter, it's kind of this make or break energy. It can help us find optimism and faith that everything is working out, that the transformation happening is supposed to happen, right? But it's also easy to overdo it when the moon opposes Jupiter. So I could see tonight being a really late night for some people. You kind of get this surge of energy later in the evening as the moon's coming into that opposition. And I would say don't overextend yourself. We can be overly generous, overly optimistic about how much energy we'll have. It could feel like that invitation from someone like, hey, you want to grab another drink? You know, like you're out on a Friday night and someone wants to keep the party going. Check in with yourself. It's not a bad thing to keep the party going, but you might feel like you're depleted or overextending yourself. And we tend to be more generous when the moon is opposing Jupiter. So overspending, buying other people drinks, buying other people things, or going on a shopping spree to feel good. You know, we are really attracted to anything that's going to make us feel good when the moon opposes Jupiter. Oh, yeah. Yeah. My mom and her husband are driving down to Arizona right now and stuck in traffic. That would be the moon squaring Mars and opposing Neptune. That is definitely the energy of like wanting to go somewhere and not really being able to go as fast as you want to go and being a little confused. Like, how long is this traffic going to last? That's the emotional energy we're all kind of in right now, and a great representation of how this transit can kind of feel within us. So things should feel less jittery tonight, but that doesn't mean the intensity is necessarily going to go away. And something I reminded myself of this morning actually is that it's Scorpio season. It's not supposed to feel easy right now. This is the most intense season. It's when darkness starts to set in. For those of you who live in states where daylight savings is observed, you know, we just turn the clocks back and it's getting dark earlier. We're in darkness more. So on a very physical level, we're facing darkness. But when we are mirroring what's going on, in the skies, we're also facing a lot of our own darkness throughout Scorpio season. It's okay if that's happening for you. It's what's supposed to be happening. And just trust. It'll be easier to trust as the day goes on too. That trine to Pluto and the opposition to Jupiter helps us trust that it's all unfolding exactly how it's supposed to. Okay, so that's our Friday. We did a really big breakdown of Friday. Now let's talk about what I would consider the headline transit of the weekend. Mars is squaring Neptune, and we'll feel this square between Mars and Neptune. Let me pull up my chart here so I can make sure to give you the right information. We're feeling it. It started to kick in earlier in the week, but it's exact on Saturday, and we'll be feeling this tense square until Sagittarius season begins, and maybe even lingering a little bit once the sun moves into Sagittarius. But talk about a way to end Scorpio season with Mars squaring Neptune. Okay, let's break this down. As a reminder, Mars is the planet of action, aggression. It's the god of war. It's that masculine energy of doing things and going after a goal, being very driven and motivated. Mars has been retrograde for a couple weeks now, and Mars has been in its shadow period for a couple months now. So Mars retrograde, there's a whole video on my channel if you want to dive into that transit. It'll be retrograde until January 12th. But Mars retrograde is really asking us to review all the different places we've been putting our energy, all the different things we've been doing. Right? Mars is the planet of doing. So a retrograde is an opportunity for review, and Mars retrograde is really asking us to review how we're spending our energy. Neptune in Pisces. Let's talk about that for a moment. Neptune's at home in Pisces, and Neptune and Pisces are similar energy, right? Because Neptune rules Pisces, pretty straightforward. Although Neptune energy is anything but straightforward. It's the opposite of rational. It's imagination, it's creativity, it's fogginess, mistiness. Neptune is the god of the ocean, right? Or water. So we have this clash between doing and reviewing our actions, and Neptune's transits just cause confusion because of that fogginess, because of that blurriness. So even as I'm saying this, it might sound confusing, but this transit is confusing, simply put. It might feel like you're asking yourself, where are we going? What are we doing? Mars is squaring Neptune. Like, what's even happening right now? This is the harshest connection Mars is going to make during its retrograde. Okay, so Mars retrograde is already a little bit of a doozy, especially Mars retrograde in Gemini, because Mars in Gemini is this extended 8-month transit. Our energy is being pulled in a lot of different directions with Mars in Gemini. Gemini energy craves that variety. So we've been doing a lot of things. Mars retrograde is slowing it down, asking us to review all the things we've been doing. But in that review, this pinnacle moment of the retrograde, this square to Neptune, is like really forcing us to question our own motivation, our own direction. It can be like a little bit disorienting, like which way is up, which way is down, what direction are we going right now? What do we really want out of life? Mars retrograde has been provoking that question too. Like, what do you want? What's the end goal? What's your why towards going and taking action? Neptune's square is just going to make it feel even more confusing. And I wouldn't even try to find an answer. Like, that's not the goal of this. Just know that you're going to be confused for the next couple days. There's no point trying to cut through the confusion. It's just, in my book, it's not going to happen. Now, with Mars also being the planet of action, it's very much associated with our energy, right? And a Neptune is the planet of dreams. It rules our sleep state. Again, it's our unconscious mind, not our rational mind. So you might feel lethargic. You might feel tired over the next couple days as Mars squares Neptune, especially on Saturday. I could see that being maybe a lower energy day. There is a square is this like impulsive energy. It makes us feel like we need to do something. And there's definitely this desire to just check out. Neptune energy like wants us to check out into a fantasy, and it might feel like, okay, the real world, all the things I'm doing feel confusing. I would rather just throw on a movie and check out. Neptune energy is like movies or books or any sort of avenue to go into a fantasy world. So you might feel like doing that this weekend, and I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't blame you. Sometimes when we're feeling agitated or confused, it's nice to just enter a different realm for a little bit. Neptune's all about other realms. So if this realm is feeling confusing, just put on your favorite series, like throw on some Harry Potter, go be a wizard for a little bit or something like that, because this transit can be very disorienting and a little confusing, or very confusing, I should say. Now, I want to make one more point about this. And I have to attribute this to another astrologer, Chani Nichols. If you're not familiar with her, she's a great astrologer. She posted something about Mars squaring Neptune that really piqued my interest. Mars went retrograde right around the time that Elon Musk bought Twitter. Okay, and if you're not on Twitter, you've probably even heard that, like, Twitter is just, excuse my French, but Twitter is going to shit right now. Like, the employees are pissed. The whole verification system is out of whack. People have lost trust in Elon Musk, if they even had trust in him. It's not a good situation, right? And this happened as Mars was stationing retrograde. This weekend, this square to Neptune, I would expect to see more news and information coming out about that whole scenario. And, Chani Nichols said this better than I could because, it came from her brain, not mine, but it's just an interesting real life example of how this energy is playing out. And it might be like there's a lot of confusion happening at Twitter. Is Twitter going to last? Is Twitter going to fall apart? So just a current event I wanted to throw in there because, it's no coincidence that that's all happening with Mars retrograde, specifically in Gemini, which rules mass media and communication, right? And Twitter feels very Gemini energy, right? Just like firing off thoughts at random. So Mars retrograde in Gemini does feel very linked to that whole saga. And Neptune is also associated with the media, but I see Neptune associated with the media in a different way. Neptune's more like movies, TV shows, more of like fantasy media. So, it's just interesting. There's confusion. Media is a topic of conversation as this square is playing out through the weekend. Yes, we have a family movie night planned for tomorrow. Perfect. Yes, great way to work with this energy. And like even get dressed up or do a little like creativity with Mars squaring Neptune, because like I said, there's no point trying to make sense of things right now. It's just going to probably cause more frustration than it's worth. A lot of people agree with you, Nikki. I'm not going to place a judgment on Elon Musk, but I am very curious to see how this all plays out. And I am on Twitter. I've been on Twitter a long time. It's not my favorite place to be, but as a reporter, I had to be on Twitter for a long time. I wouldn't hate it if Twitter just imploded and didn't exist anymore. We have enough social media platforms at this point. So, I hate to say I'm rooting for a collapse, but wouldn't hate it. Rachel says, I'm hosting a Friendsgiving this Thanksgiving, so I plan on spending the weekend cleaning the house. Thanks for the heads up. I guess I will put on a podcast or music and get lost in my cleaning. Yet again, why I love doing a live stream, getting lost. Mars squaring Neptune makes us want to get lost. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So get lost in a healthy way. It could be easy to like drown your sorrows with Mars squaring Neptune. This could bring, especially in Scorpio season, this could bring about addictive tendencies. So just make sure wherever you're checking out to is a healthy outlet rather than a destructive one. But podcast, music, movies, all favored under this transit. Yeah, great time for creative writing too. Creativity is a powerful outlet, especially when you're feeling confusion, like lean into that fogginess, that confusion through creativity. Sometimes really powerful things are born when we just let our rational mind take a back seat for a little bit. You know what I mean? Okay, let's talk about the moon on Saturday. The moon moves into Libra at just before 3 a.m. Saturday morning. So we wake up this weekend with the moon in a new sign. And I think that's nice, personally. I like when that happens. The moon changes overnight. The moon moving into Libra, remember it's a waning crescent moon, so still in that energy of surrender and release. And with the moon in Libra, we crave balance. We crave harmony. We're nurtured by our relationships, by being in harmonious and peaceful environments. And with the waning moon in Libra, having peaceful surroundings, being in a calm environment can actually help us go deeper into that surrender and release. Think about it this way. If you're in an environment or in a place that makes you feel calm, you can be more attuned to your true feelings, rather than if you're in a really stimulating situation, then you're like, okay, am I feeling other people's energy? Am I feeling just the energy of the room, or is this me? So finding people who put you at peace, finding some solace in whatever environment feels good to you is definitely favored under the waning moon in Libra. Now, the moon only makes one connection on Saturday, and it's a sextile to Mercury and Venus. So this is another transit to keep your eye on. We'll talk about this one on Monday, but let me show you on the chart here what this looks like. Mercury and Venus are coming into a conjunction, okay? So over here, Mercury at 3 degrees, Venus at 4 degrees. This conjunction will be exact to start our week next week. But we're already feeling the merging of Mercury and Venus. Mercury being the planet of communication, Venus being the planet of love, money, and beauty. So it'll be easier to think loving thoughts, especially with the moon in Libra ruled by Venus. It's just going to feel like a lot of Libra energy kicking in on Saturday. So we'll be able to more easily tap into that loving energy, to our ability to receive love and give love. I see this as really a silver lining to the whole Mars square Neptune thing, because even if we're lost, even if we feel like we're flailing and we don't really know what's going on or where we're going, this transit, the moon forming a sextile to Mercury and Venus, asks us to just reach for the next best thought, reach for a loving thought, see the best in people. Our heart and our mind are working together now that Venus and Mercury are blending their energies, and the moon helps us acknowledge that and observe that, so we can easily find that loving energy, find peace as well, even peaceful thoughts when the moon connects with Mercury and Venus. So if you're feeling lost, like I said, just reach for the next best thought, reach for a loving thought. It'll be easier than you think. All you have to do is be willing to lean into it, be willing to go there. Okay? Moving on to Sunday, things are going to feel lighter starting Sunday, I think. That's what it's looking like to me. It's still Scorpio season, still a little intense, but on Sunday, we experience a really positive transit. The Sun and Jupiter harmonize, come into this balanced 120-degree trine. This happens Sunday night, so we're going to feel the build up to it all day on Sunday. This just brings good vibes. Jupiter is the planet of positivity, abundance, optimism, and this transit in particular feels like a preview of Sagittarius season, because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. The Scorpio sun is easily aligning with that Jupiter energy. It feels like we can find the silver lining, we can find the optimism as we go through the day on Sunday. We can also appreciate and see how much we've grown through Scorpio season. Jupiter is called the planet of abundance because it amplifies everything it connects with. It's all about growth. So when the Sun and Jupiter harmonize, we become conscious with the Sun, consciously aware of the growth that has happened while the Sun has been in Scorpio. This is a great day for gratitude. This is a great day for good luck, serendipitous opportunities. And being in that state of appreciation, of observing what has manifested, what has grown, is going to set you up beautifully to be in the abundant mindset that comes more naturally during Sagittarius season. There's plenty of vitality and motivation to be had. And the Sun in Scorpio, Jupiter in Pisces, this watery trine that we're talking about, taps us into our intuition too. So it's like deep within, we can find that positivity as well. We can find that trust and that faith that the transformation unfolding is supposed to happen. Even if we're confused, Mars is still squaring Neptune on Sunday. Even if we're confused, it's like that, it's going to be okay, girl. It's that faith that's easy to tap into under this nice harmonious trine. So there are silver linings in the forecast. That's why at the very beginning of this, I said there's going to be a lot of duality that we're talking about. Yes, restlessness, maybe tense emotions coming up. It's Scorpio season, but also lots of opportunities to reach for positivity, find love, see the good in other people, and find peace as well. There's peace in the surrender. There's peace in the surrender. Yeah, looking forward to this. This is going to be amplified by my Scorpio progressed moon. And I love, gratitude list time. Great way to spend Sunday. I love that this is happening before Monday, obviously, because the sun will be at the 29th degree on Monday. And you know, I like to give you a heads up about that anaretic degree. It makes us feel restless. We're going to be very ready for Sagittarius season to start on Monday, but it could bring up any shadows, any bats in the cave, before Sagittarius season on Monday. So finding time to align with positive energy, align with gratitude on Sunday, again, is going to help you set yourself up for success. Now, the Libra moon gets a little busy on Sunday, but I want to go back to something I just said. There is peace in the surrender. The waning crescent moon wants us to surrender, and in that surrender, we can find peace. Overnight, 2 a.m., the moon opposes Chiron. Hopefully this is a transit you just sleep through, but pay attention if you have really vivid dreams Saturday night into Sunday morning. They could be indicators of some skeletons in the closet, of some pain or shadows that you haven't fully addressed or acknowledged yet during Scorpio season. Chiron is the wounded healer, and the moon opposing Chiron reminds us that by facing those wounds, by facing that pain, we can heal it more easily. So, it might be a late night or early morning that you're feeling a little bit triggered as the moon opposes Chiron. If you're feeling that, or if you have triggering or painful dreams, just be willing to observe it and ask, is there something that still needs to be healed here? The moon makes 2 trines on Sunday. The first being at 2 p.m. Pacific time, the moon and Saturn come into this harmony. Yes, Katie, I'm starting to feel the rebirth after so much death, figuratively and literally. That's Sagittarius season is coming. It's the time to grow. It's the time to expand. And there's a reason Scorpio is the planet of death and rebirth. So yeah, we have to really go into the darkness, into the death, if you will, lean into it in order to fully experience the rebirth. It's coming though. It's coming. And the moon making these supportive connections, or really easy connections, through most of the evening on Sunday can help us find that rebirth as well. So the moon trine Saturn, 2 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. Let me jump ahead on the chart here so you can see the correct day. We have the sun and Jupiter that we just talked about, and then the moon is over here in Libra. So here's that trine between the moon and Saturn. You can see Saturn at 19 degrees right now. When the moon hits 19 degrees, it'll be in this nice balanced angle. And you can see also, actually, let me jump ahead so we can actually see this with our eyeballs. The moon is coming into a grand trine. Did it work? Let me see. Kind of. The moon is coming into a grand trine. See that blue triangle, equilateral triangle in the middle of the chart? It's not bolded, but you get the idea. So the moon will harmonize with Saturn and Mars. Okay. This grand trine is going to help us find balance between our responsibility, our duty, and our motivation. And the moon in Libra is that balancing point for both of those things. So Saturn energy is all about responsibility. It's all about maturity. And we can, Saturn is the great malefic. So because it's wise and mature, it's also here to teach us some karmic lessons. But this harmony between the moon and Saturn helps us understand those things as we are more open to different perspectives under the Libra moon. It's like we're open to wisdom when the moon and Saturn harmonize. And then the moon and Mars harmonizing on the other end really makes it easy to tap into our motivation, our drive. Even with Mars in this square to Neptune, it's still like the Libra moon is helping us process what's happening with Mars right now. So what does this mean for you? How do I see this playing out in your life? Really all day, Sunday afternoon, we're going to be feeling this grand trine between the moon, Saturn, and Mars, these very masculine energies as well. I just see this as making it easier to find that wisdom. Maybe you're having powerful conversations with elders in your family and they offer a piece of wisdom that opens your perspective or helps you find more balance or understand things better. But Mars and the moon harmonizing too allows us to find peace in the unknown and focus on what we can do. It's a very empowering transit when the moon and Mars harmonize because yes, Mars is square Neptune. It's like, what are we doing? Where are we going? This moment, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening is like, okay, focus on what we can do, what we can control. Can we move our body right now? Can we be productive right now in any way? What would feel good to do in the present moment right now? We don't know where we're going in the big picture. It's confusing, it's messy, it's okay, but balance can be restored through moving our body and focusing on what we can do. And then Saturn on the other end helps us act with responsibility and maturity and wisdom too. So my overall message emotionally for you on Sunday, yes, it's easy to reach for positivity when the Sun and Jupiter harmonize. We can understand how much we've grown, but also what can we do in this moment? You might already be looking ahead to Sagittarius season like, okay, it's time to expand. It's time to like have fun and grow in all these ways. But Sunday, I invite you to just be in Sunday, be in the moment and focus on what wants to happen in the moment on that day. The very last transit we'll talk about on Sunday is a minor transit, but it's a tense one, 11 p.m. Pacific time. I would just say Sunday, go to bed early. That's just my advice because the moon is squaring Lilith. And Lilith isn't a planet, but we've been talking about Lilith a little bit this week. Lilith is the dark moon and she's known as our inner bitch for a reason. So when the moon squares Lilith, it's easy to get off balance, to be a little bit more harsh or hostile, to try to find that control by, claiming our autonomy and doing what we want to do and not really like caring about what other people want. However, the moon in Libra wants us to find peace and balance in our relationships. So don't let Lilith get the best of you on Sunday. Instead, focus on what you can control. Focus on what you can control. Focus on what you can control. Do what you can with the energy you have, with the resources you have, and don't look too far beyond Sunday. Just focus on the task at hand and do it responsibly. Do it with maturity. It'll be easy to do that on Sunday. Love that. I don't know what you love, but I will take the positive comment. So those are the transits throughout the weekend. It's kind of like a little roller coaster, if you will. There's going to be pockets of confusion. There's going to be pockets of positivity and empowerment. I think the message that just keeps coming through is focus on what you can control in the moment. And that brings us back to our affirmation of the day, which I'm just now realizing I did not update on here. So I'm going to tap dance a little bit so I can copy paste it for you guys. This is live producing right now. This is the moment, if I was still working in TV news, that the producer would get in my ear and say, fill, fill, fill. So I'm filling. Here we go. Today's affirmation. I am not afraid of my own depths. a reminder as we make our way through the last degrees of Scorpio season, as the sun makes those final connections in Scorpio, that we are meant to witness our depths during this time of year. We are meant to witness our darkness. We are meant to uncover deeper truths about ourselves and other people. And that can be scary. Facing our fears can be scary. Seeing the truth, the harsh truth in Scorpio season can be scary. But you don't need to be afraid of your own depths, of your own darkness. Whatever's coming up, even if it's confusion, is here to show you something, right? So witness how you're feeling, witness what's coming up as it comes up. Ask if there's anything you can do with it. And if not, this is the time to release it and let it go. Anything else that needs to be cleared out in this death and rebirth cycle, in this transformation, is meant to be cleared out before the sun exits Scorpio. So don't be afraid to go deep and to really use the last bit of Scorpio season, squeeze every last drop. We already had Mercury and Venus exit Scorpio, so the only planet we have left there, right, is the sun right now. And of course the South Node, but that'll be there for a while. So, we don't get as intense as Scorpio season can be. We're not going to get this opportunity again for another year. We don't have the sun moving into Scorpio again for another year. So squeeze every last drop and see if you can go a little deeper over the next couple days. All right, we're going to do a 3-card tarot pull from my little everyday tarot deck, one for each day of the forecast. I always give this disclaimer when I pull from a tarot deck that I am not a tarot reader. I like to play around with oracle decks and tarot decks and just trust that whatever guidance is going to come through is what's needed, but I don't actually fully interpret the tarot cards. There are brilliant humans out there who specialize in that, and I am not currently one of them. This is your time in the forecast, as you know, to ask any other questions you have, share any intentions with us, any weekend plans that you want to be witnessed, or just take a deep breath, take a moment to get present, send positive energy, and ask what you need to know from the cards. All right, if you're joining me live or if you're finding this video later, this is your permission to take the deepest breath you've taken all day, and we'll all do it together as we exhale, sending our intentions into the cards. Here we go. Breathe in nice and deep. Hold it. And release. What do we need to know? The Friday card we got is the Star in reverse. Okay. Then the 6 of Swords also in reverse, and the Emperor also in reverse. Mars is squaring Neptune. Of course, we get all these reverse cards, right? Okay, starting with the Star, our Friday card. This is one of my favorite cards in the deck. And these captions or descriptions in the guidebook are very short. So I'm going to get just straight to the point. All right. The Star in reverse. You lack faith in yourself and the universe. Go within to reconnect with your inner source of inspiration and guidance rather than looking for signs outside of yourself. Ooh, did I need to hear that today? Wow. The Star in general, when you pull it upright, is all about inspiration, tapping into your authentic self, that divine inspiration that can come through, staying true to yourself, having faith in the universe. So you might be questioning. That's a big theme. Mars is squaring Neptune. The sun is connecting with Pluto. Fears, doubts, questions are coming up. And this card is reminding us to go within. The answers aren't going to be out there in the world. The answers are within you. And even if you don't know the answer right now, that's okay. But have faith that it's coming, and have faith that you can handle whatever is coming up, even if you don't know what that is. So just a reminder that you have all of the faith, the inspiration, the guidance you need already within you. You are a divine being. And even if you don't feel like it today, that's okay. I see you as divine. I see you as so inspirational, showing up here for yourself and having faith in the universe, right? So this is that reminder to have faith, even if you can't make sense of it right now. Okay, the Six of Swords in reverse, our Saturday card, when we're really feeling that square between Mars and Neptune. You are resisting change and seek what is familiar, even though it's not in your best interest. This change may not have been your choice either. Go within and reaffirm to yourself why you need to make this transition. Again, a card about going within. Seems like that's the underlying message from the cards so far. You're resisting change and seek what's familiar. We've talked a lot about fears coming up. We've talked a lot about not knowing what direction we're going. There's a general sense of understanding that transformation is happening. Things are changing, and that's uncomfortable. So rather than trying to control the change, go within, find peace within yourself as the moon moves into Libra. Reach for the next loving thought. I love how it says, reaffirm to yourself why you need to make this transition. Remember, the moon is connecting with Mercury and Venus on Saturday. So reaffirming to yourself could just look like internally or externally saying loving thoughts, saying some affirmations, writing in your journal, being like, you got this, looking in the mirror and being like, it's okay if it's confusing. It's okay if we don't like the change that's happening. We can handle anything. We got this. So the message coming through for Saturday is affirm to yourself, use loving language, even if it's just mentally. And the Emperor, our final card, 2 face cards in this poll. Let's see. Where are you? The Emperor. Also in reverse for Sunday. Step up, be accountable, and get the work done. Be mindful of your relationship with power and authority. Allow this energy to flow through you, not against you. Okay, this is that grand trine we were talking about between the moon, Mars, and Saturn. Okay, this is the best way. I couldn't have described this transit better than the guidebook just did. Step up, be accountable. That is the moon trine Saturn, that accountability, that maturity. Get the work done. That's the moon trine Mars, giving us the motivation to get things done, check things off our to-do list on Sunday. Be mindful of your relationship with power and authority. It's interesting because there's also this element of control that we've been talking about, right? And so you might be feeling more responsible, more mature on Sunday, but that can parlay into control very easily, especially as the moon comes into a square with Lilith, right? So be mindful of your relationship with power. Allow this energy to flow through you, not against you. So we have so many trines in the forecast on Sunday. It's like, just be in the flow. Just be in the flow. Stop trying to control things. Stop trying to make sense of things. Just be in the flow. It's almost like, I just heard this come through, as the moon and Saturn are harmonizing, like, act as you think an elder would, or as you think an ancestor would. You know, they're not trying to force things. We often glorify our ancestors, people who've passed on, the generations before us. I think that's just a natural human tendency. But like, you are an ancestor to the future generations. So kind of stepping into that authority, not to be overpowering or have power over people, but to recognize your influence over people and be in the flow of that influence. Lots of loose ends being tied up this Scorpio season. Katie says, it's been taking up too much space in my life. I'm ready for what's going to replace that space. Yeah, and this feels like it's tied to Mars retrograde too, you know, tying up loose ends, seeing all the places your energy has been pulled. Rachel says, I love these cards. It's like, trust yourself. All the answers are within you, and chase your dreams. Yeah, and Sunday's card, again, it feels like easy to tap into that natural authority. And when we're confident in ourselves and our own authority, we don't need to overpower other people. We don't need to control other people, you know? So it feels like by going within, by finding that inner authority, by finding that inner guidance, it's going to help us also relate to other people as the moon is in Libra. I have something big I want to do this week. To get my dad's firefighting helmet that his wife refuses to give me, manifesting the outcome I want and trusting I will be okay if it doesn't. You're already in the right mindset, Rachel. And just know, if it's not happening now, that doesn't mean it's never going to happen. Or that was Katie. But same message to you, Katie. I just saw my progressed moon is in Sagittarius. Rachel says, what does that mean for me this upcoming season? That's a good question. I am not super into the progressed moon cycles. I will put a full disclaimer on that. I have not gone deep into the progressed moon, but I would imagine as the sun moves over your progressed moon, it's going to be like that new moon energy. You know, you might feel like you're a little bit more emotionally in tune with the energy during Sagittarius season. My mom is planning on making her home in Arizona. Deep breath. Lots of changes for you happening right now. And I'm not surprised because the sun is about to move into your first house. So there's been a lot of endings and closure for you, a lot of release for you happening. And once Sagittarius season starts, you're definitely going to feel more like yourself because you are a Sagittarius, but also you're probably going to find renewed confidence in the coming month. But just know that you're in this 12th house phase right now. Things are starting to look up. Things are starting to feel more comfortable for you. But we still have a little lingering energy, Scorpio energy, that might be bringing up fears or doubts or release. Well, definitely, yeah, you're always your own best astrologer, you guys. So whatever you're feeling intuitively, it's probably aligned with the planets. How often does that happen? When I ask, how's everyone feeling at the top of these forecasts? And what you say is almost always aligned with the energy we're feeling or the energy playing out in your chart, right? So I love to be able to tell you what's going on in the cosmos. I love to be able to share the energy with you, but ultimately how it's affecting you, you know better than anybody. You know better than me or anyone on this planet how the current energy is affecting you, right? So follow your intuition. It's Scorpio season. Our depths are also linked to our intuition, that innate knowing. And these cards kept reminding us, go within. Part of going within is tapping into your own intuition. All right, everybody. That is going to do it for this weekend episode of Transits Today. I hope that was helpful for you to tap into the energy of the weekend ahead, understand what's coming up, understand how to best use this energy. Just one final time, Mars is squaring Neptune through the entire weekend. So confusion is par for the course. It's okay if you don't have it all figured out. Go within, focus on what you can control, and find peace in the surrender, in the release. I hope you all have a beautiful few days ahead. We have some exciting transits to talk about next week. That Mercury-Venus conjunction, Sagittarius season starts. We've got the new moon in Sagittarius. The energy is going to be very uplifting starting next week from how I see it. So yes, sending you all so much positivity and love, and I will see you on Monday morning. But until I see you next, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.